We've got a living legend, a Hall of Famer, Dave Dickenson, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, joining us here at Grey Eagle. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. Nice spot you got here.
It's amazing, isn't it?
These guys treat us great down here. I haven't been able to spend enough time down here, but they've been great supporters of ours, and good to get back here. I've never been on your stage here, though.
No.
Definitely have seen a few concerts. Not much of a gambler either, but Grey Eagle's big time.
I always say we gamble with our lives. That's about it. I haven't put a dime in here, but this would not surprise you, what I've discerned after being here for so long, that they like the Flames, they love the Stampeders here. Like, they really love the Stamps. You have your poker nights, fundraisers and stuff here?
Yeah, one of the guys that was big time in here passed a couple of years ago, Lee, and his family, I believe, is still involved, and just really took care of us and was a big fan and invited us out for dinners, not necessarily even here, like invited us just to be part of the community and part of being a Stampeder, and always was a huge supporter of us. And it was crazy because a bunch of us coaches were going to go visit with him, and he called us. This is when he was not in good health, and he said, "Give me a day. I'm not feeling right." Unfortunately, he passed. So I got a soft spot in my heart here for Grey Eagle, and like I said, they're not only his family. There's been a bunch of people here associated here that have worked with us, and it's great.
I never met that Lee, but I've heard so much about him, and it was like an oomph to everybody. They say they haven't been able to replace him, that he was this place, is what I was told.
Yeah, well, you got Lee Genier working for you.
Wow, you know Lee very well.
That's better.
Yeah.
I mean, listen.
Speaking of movers and shakers, yeah.
What a great man, and like you said, was doing it just to be a great man, and I think we reciprocated. I think the Stampeders. Yeah, we lose too many great Stampeders, especially in the community, so he was one of them.
I got to say this, not like this man needs any introduction, but Great Falls, Montana, played at Montana Grizzlies, played in the CFL, and going through your resume here, Stamps, the Chargers, the Seahawks, Dolphins, Lions, back, Detroit Lions, back with the BC Lions, and then the Calgary Stampeders. It is a Hall of Fame career, 5-time Grey Cup champion. Although you probably go to bed at night thinking about the ones you lost. That's what most guys keeps them going. Am I right on that?
Yeah, and I don't even remember the old ones. They're so long ago. I don't know. But, yeah, you're not necessarily I think it's the most recent that hurt. And then you look back, like I saw some footage of, like, the 2010 playoffs where we lost to Sask.
It was a cold day.
Yes, it was. Yeah. One of the greatest teams I've ever been a part of. 2005 BC Lions, another one. Just a team you felt really had the talent, probably should have, could have won. So maybe those two teams I look back and think, man, we should have finished the deal there.
It's funny because Cheryl Bernard sat on that chair yesterday, and we talked about that. She's still upset she didn't win gold at the Olympics. She's a silver medalist. She's like, I'm not over it yet because the great ones hate to lose more than they love to win. And I just want to say College Football Hall of Fame and Canadian Football Hall of Fame, it's kind of an attitude, isn't it? Get you into those places?
I think you got to get lucky. I think quarterbacks get a lot of love when things are going. You got to be on winning teams. You got to win, and when you win, you get accolades. I was super proud of the College Hall of Fame because of what you got to go against. Coming from Montana, you just don't really think that's attainable. You don't really feel like, in straight up, that you're going to even get a look. And then I think it was actually my brother kind of said, hey, why doesn't Davey got a shot at that? And then our sports information director started putting in my information. I think I was only on the ballot 2 years, which was good because then my stress level was down. But it was fun to be a part of and be around. So Calvin Johnson's there, Ed Reed's there, Charles Woodson's. That's my class, or their class. I'm part of their class. And I just really was overwhelmed even to be part of those guys. CFL Hall of Fame, like you said, I love it. Felt like I fit in here, though. It's kind of a league for me. I'm still at it and hope to have more success.
Well, I remember when you went in that College Football Hall of Fame because your whole family was there. Craig was there, right? And that had to feel good, too. And that's the thing about brothers. It's not like you haven't done a million interviews about you and Craig, but I've never asked you about it. Like, you guys seem to be not just brothers, but best friends. That's the way he talks about it anyways.
Yeah, he was my best man at my wedding. And the whole thing gets lost in the whole Dickenson family is my sister, Amy. So, Craig, that's his twin. And she lives in Oregon. And unfortunately, sometimes we've kind of migrated together to football in Canada, but we love her as well. But Craig and I are tight. I still can bounce some ideas off of him, but I am a little cautious on what we talk about football-wise. But we basically just support each other, and we love our mom and dad are great people, so it's been good.
Well, I think, Dave said I had him for as long as I needed him because I only get to chat with him once a decade. And I said once a generation. Do you remember that time? It was a preseason game. It was like 3 hours before the game in Regina. Day of the game. I'm like, Dickie, can I grab you? And you're like, I don't know, Rod. And we didn't do it. That's what kink and you guys schedule game day interviews, stuff like that?
Well, you try to. What happens sometimes is you try to tell your players, that you got to be focused, whether it's preseason or not. It matters. And I am a very scheduled person, though. Like, not to say I wouldn't veer off at times, but I feel like I like to get myself into a bit of a schedule, into a mode. I don't really want to veer off of that.
Right.
I want to do my job. I want my guys to understand that when I'm asking them to do certain things, I'm going to follow suit. And it wasn't anything against you or anything, but it was probably that I just don't want to talk anything but game, or I really just want to focus on my job for the game. So anyway, hopefully it didn't ruffle any feathers.
Survived. No,
you did? Yeah, I figured you would.
But,
yeah.
But my thing is, I used to own that restaurant in Regina, Famoso, and I think you and Craig went in there the night before a game because I give Craig all these gift certificates, right? I assume that
he told he
right.
He did. Yeah,
and I thought, how could you two not talk football the night before a game?
It's somewhat dicey, but we kind of know what we can speak about, what we can't, and then he might say like, "Hey, why didn't you dress so and so? I see he's on the practice roster," and I was like, "Easy now, I can't give you that." It's not super jovial the night before a game, though. I think we enjoy seeing each other, and obviously good spot. I don't know if you own it, maybe not
anymore.
Well,
got rid of it just in time.
I thought it was still good though.
Yeah,
but with COVID. But it's more about catching up. I mean, one year when we were in Regina, we just went and hit golf balls on the range and just kind of, you can just kind of get into your flow, but without really focusing on football. And we're definitely going to always make time for each other. It's not like we've got any major secrets. Hey, we're going to go out there and play hard. We've had some good battles. I got the best of him early. He's got me now in a couple in a row, so we'll try to turn the tides in 22.
Right, and next segment we'll talk more about this upcoming season, if you don't mind. But I just want to ask you about Great Falls, your hometown, which is so awesome of a place. And I said my brother was the general manager of the Americans for several years in the 90s, so I spent a lot of time there. It is a special place, right? Why? And I wanted to ask you specifically, why is it the football capital, it seems to me, of the American Northwest? Yourself,
I love
Craig,
that.
Ryan Leaf, the Sunderlands. Name all the guys that come out.
We've been doing all right. It's a smaller city. It's
60,000.
Yeah, it's a little over 60, but it isn't growing because it's got a military base, got an Air Force base there. We had a few more actually high quality athletes come through when I was there because there was more guys from the base. But for some reason, it is a football city. There's no doubt. It has dropped a bit. Hoping it comes back. Hard-nosed. The whole thing, Montana, and to be straight up, Alberta/Saskatchewan, it's not that different in Montana. It's people there working hard, not making a ton of dough, but enjoying the people you're around and really proud of where they're from. Great Falls, when I grew up, I just tried to fit in. Like I said, it's got a lot of wind over there. So as a quarterback, I found a disliked wind from a young age, but. Yeah, Ryan Leaf was probably the biggest name that we've had out of there, but we have also been, through the years, in my opinion, got solid athletes. The whole state of Montana, if you have even a relative from Montana, they're claiming you. And they're saying, hey, so-and-so has uncle. I grew up with his uncle, and they don't get a lot. We still don't think we got 1 million plus, but barely. So if you think about it in terms, Calgary is a bigger city than the whole state of Montana, and yet it's the 4th biggest state. So Great Falls, hard-nosed, tough, will work. That's kind of what we grew up with.
Sounds like the Canadian Prairies when you say that, but it's Charlie M. Russell High School, correct?
Yeah,
How big is the
Charles
stadium?
M. Russell? Yeah, he's an artist. We see him ours when we go by. Weird thing though, Roz, my dad coached at the other high school called Great Falls High, and he was a pretty good football coach. And as Craig and I were getting older, he was getting a lot of pressure to move, because in our generation, if you don't live in that high school, you don't go there. And decent basketball player as well. And one of the guys we grew up with, there's 3 of them, and one of the guys did move over there and kept coaching. And then my dad kind of phased himself out of the coaching. I'm sure he didn't love that, but he felt like it wasn't right. and we stayed at CMR, and we played Great Falls High in the state championship both years, my junior and senior year. So, like you said, the best football city growing up was always Great Falls. Not the same right now. A lot of people are moving to Bozeman and moving to Missoula.
Is that because of Yellowstone, or?
We don't. Maybe you're right about that. Just prettier, have a nice climate, mountains, economy. So Great Falls right now is a little bit down. Hopefully they can get back up.
Did you get that guy's name, Moose? What is it? Yell at me. Just yell it at us.
We're blast.
Tyson Lester. He says your dad coached him.
Probably. We have a guy, I don't know him personally, but I know there's a John Lester that actually, a quarterback before me, went to Michigan State, played Major League Baseball with the Twins organization, I believe. And like you said, Great Falls, we know everything about everybody.
Right.
And he was a CMR, kind of the original number 15. And through the generations when I grew up, every quarterback wore 15. There was a starter, and then Coach Johnson retired my number 15 there. So, but John and Lester was one of the best. And if it's Tyson, maybe there's some relation. I'm probably screwing that up, but John jumps into my mind.
We were in L.A. for Super Bowl, and he wrote Darren out of the blue and said, "Hey guys, can I come down and see your show?" Something like that. And he goes, "I'm a buddy of Dave Dickinson's from Great Falls," something like that. And I apologize. I say Charlie Russell because Ian Tyson sings about Charlie Russell. Yeah. You know, he doesn't say Charles.
Yeah,
Russell.
I'll tell you, though, the Craig is the guy that knows everybody. I'm, believe it or not, family and all that sort of stuff. Got a little more reserved. Kind of stay in my own lane. Craiger, he's out socializing.
He's an extrovert.
Well, he's never been married, no kids. He has a bit more time than I have.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of, so with your kids, are they going to be ballers? What's the plan?
No pressure. I know they will feel it. Obviously, that was I guess the good and a bad thing is, if you got your dad and maybe he's done something, it's fun to maybe try that. But sometimes it certainly can put some pressure on deals. I know, like Joe Montana's kid, I'm not comparing myself to Joe Montana, but he went to Notre Dame, and he transferred actually to Montana. That's why I've used that one. It just didn't work out. For my son, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to play, he is playing. He plays basketball. Trying to get him to swing a golf club. I really don't care as long as he's having fun and keeps his time busy. And I do want all kids to have a goal. Give me something that you want to be, something that you're working for. That way it keeps them busy, keeps them out of trouble.
See, I only get to interview him once a decade, so I have a lot to get out here. Cam Judge came down when we were at Super Bowl, and he played, as you would know, on that high school team with Montana's kid and Gretzky's kid. Did you know that?
I did not know
Cameron
that.
Judge. So wait, you got a good one there. You guys did your... As a matter of fact, that day I asked him, why did you sign with Calgary? And he said that you just completely sold him on the city and the franchise. I don't want you to give your secrets, but...
Well, I've never coached college, and I think college guys recruit like crazy, and they kind of, I think they know what they're talking about as far as what to tell kids. I'm straight up just honest. I'll tell you what I believe, but if you're not getting a call from me, that's probably because what I'm going to tell you isn't what you want to hear. But I don't know, Cam. I felt like it was we were going to make this move. I liked him as a player, and I just felt like he was underused at Toronto, so no disrespect to that staff. But,
as did he.
Yeah, and with Royce Mechie was ours. I knew he was going to Toronto, actually, or he was going to free agency and sign there. He had some deals where he wanted to be with his mom and his family. So Cam was the perfect fit for us. I haven't met him personally. I'm looking forward to it. Not a guy that goes and talks to the other team's players or the other team's reporters.
That doesn't happen, right? Yeah, right.
But I just don't. So don't try to say, hey, I'd love to see you on our team. After a while, let's say a guy is in the league, like I don't want to tamper or anything. So, but I'll say, hey, I'd love to. Would have loved to see you and wear the red and white. Sometimes they're still playing, but for the most part, I let them be them, and I coach my guys. But I'm happy to have him, and that's a heck of a group there. Don't know a lot about Gretzky's kids. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure if he played hockey. Certainly, obviously, I still thought until Brady, Joe Montana was the guy. So the thing is, I'm hopefully with kids and everything is they got to find their own path, and the expectation level might be too much. Just too much stress and pressure. I don't want that. Just do what you got to do, have a good life, meet some good people, and eat some good food, and hopefully it's a good time.
Good for you. Well, then now I see why you and Huff fit in so well. Because as people have said, and I won't ask you for your comments on Chris Jones, but as one football guy, a legend, said to me, if you told Jones you had to run a team and follow the rules, he couldn't do it. But if you told Huff you need to run a team and break the rules, he couldn't do that. It's two different ways of doing things. Because Shiv, my God, tampering, I think, was invented, the term for Shiv.
Shiv. That's a blast from the past.
We only got a minute,
okay.
So I'm going to take a break. We'll come back and tell more stories. I'm going to bring in the viewer comments here. Now, I selfishly asked them all my questions off the start, but Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in and says, I love the Mermaid Bar in Great Falls. You want to give us the name, Dave?
Oh, I know about it, but I don't.
The Sip and Dip.
Yeah, I don't go there.
Never?
I went there when probably I was underage, but I am not a drink connoisseur. You're not going to get much out of
Legendary.
me. I worked at a place called Stockman's Bar in Missoula, and I have the reputation of the worst bartender ever. Slowest, talk too much, and don't know any drinks. So probably not.
I could see it.
Probably not my basically wheelhouse. But Sip and Dip is still going. People still take pictures. I don't know how it survives in the winter. I think there's a hotel connected to it, and that's where the pool is.
Keeps the water warm, yeah.
Yeah, but it's you won't see me there much.
Go down to Great Falls and check it out, the Sip and Dip. It regularly makes top 10 best watering holes in America. It is that good. And there was a twinkle in your eye when I brought up Shiv. You said you came to the CFL in 96. Shiv was the Stamps head scout at that time, so I assume was he the reason?
He was actually not the reason I was here, and he wanted me gone.
Oh, no.
The story I got was Shiv had another guy, and why we want Dave. Huff was the one convinced Wally to trade for me, but I heard Shiv was like, I got two more guys better than that. And the one guy couldn't get into country, something to do with something at the border. And then we traded for Danny Barrett that year, so I thought I was dead. You got Jeff Garcia, Danny Barrett. Weird thing is, Shiv and I got real close, and I like him.
Because you won. He likes guys that win.
Nah, he's just listen. He's unapologetic on what he stands for. You know, it's crazy. Sometimes I feel like, as where we are in the world, stand up for what you believe for, but make sure you can see both sides of things. I just try to listen sometimes with Shiv as well. His experience a lot different from mine, but good football mind and a good energy. Great stories. If you listen to Tony Spaltini at Spalumbo's, he can do his voice perfectly. But, good guy to have in our league, and we miss him.
I love asking this question, and it just popped into my mind. Had you been cut, what would you have done?
Well, back then, that's why I chuckle. So I was supposed to make $50,000, and Wally said, "Hey, we'll keep you, but we're going to sign you for league minimum 26." And I was pretty happy about that. That's crazy, but I could have went to practice roster. But he basically, all that did to me was say, "Okay, I got a year. I'm not going to stay much more than that. I got to figure this out within 2 years." And the CFL, it's always crazy. I had like a $1,500 play bonus. In the last game of the year, we had the thing locked up, and winning a play bonus was just shooting up. Wally decided to save that $1,500, play another guy. What would I have done? I mean, I took school. Like, I thought I'd stay in football, maybe even go to med school to try to be a doctor. But school's not really my thing. I'll compete hard at it. I definitely did well. I just didn't like it. I like sports, and I like competitions, and that's where the only thing that really got me going was trying to kind of prove people wrong. A little chip on my shoulder. Felt like I could outcompete most people and find a way to get a win. Yeah, so even right now, I can't really play any fantasy sports or play golf or cribbage or whatever without it. Just the blood flows a little too hot, and I always try to win. Sometimes not always a good thing.
Did you just miss The Rock? I'm not sure his timeline.
I just missed him. Heard about him with our equipment guy, George Hopkins. He knows everybody, but yeah, like same thing. I watched the television show. I thought it was pretty funny who they had playing.
Did you laugh out loud when some of those characters?
Garcia's character was hilarious. I thought that was
Flutie's
great.
Was hilarious. I thought.
Well, yeah, Flutie. I chuckle. I see him and Frank Thomas on those testosterone or deal commercials. I just laugh. I love those guys, and whatever happens. Why they decide to go on that path. But still talk with Jeff a little bit because he was a good friend of mine. And for The Rock, he's really doing well for our league, and obviously XFL's coming. Just a solid man, great backing. I don't have any problem with another league there. I just want to make sure the CFL is strong.
Well, I was going to ask you where you are on spring leagues as a former player, but now sort of quasi-personnel guy. You would see it from both ways. We all want more jobs.
Yeah.
For everybody, right?
I'm not too worried. I like Canada. I could have moved, I think, lots if I really wanted to. I like living in Calgary, and I like being part of the Canadian culture. The thing is the one thing I'd like to say is that all these people want the Canadian Football League to move it up. And what they don't understand is it's going to snow in April anyway, and kids still have to go to college. We still need these athletes to come up. So even this NFL draft that just happened, all of a sudden we're starting to get all these calls on, hey, what do you guys have? Well, we don't have any spots available. And the guy from my alma mater hit me up, and we've already moved on for 2020-22. Now, could we bring the odd guy up? Sure, but we're kind of maxed out, in my opinion. I don't think we can go up any farther. How do you expect a kid to go to college and then come play football when his school year isn't even done yet? And it's not like he's getting super rich up here. So I like where we're at, meaning the spring leagues will still be there. Yes, it'll be competition, but let's dominate the summer and hopefully have a lot of people in the fall.
It's interesting you say that because you brought up the 2010 West Final. Jarrell Freeman recovers a punt in the end zone. You remember the whole thing, but it was minus 27 Celsius that day. I don't care Celsius, Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that wasn't
That's
even wind
cold.
chill. Yeah, that was cold. I was one of the coldest, and I remember it like 35, 38 below with wind chill, and it's too cold for football, but we play. But as a fan experience, that's probably not best. I've also had some games, though, at the end of October. Last year's Winnipeg game was miserably cold. It was windy, and it was miserably cold. So you're going to get that. I will say, though, that for the most part, they say we don't maybe get as many fans in the summer because people go in vacation. That's where I want to dominate. That's where I'm hoping it's an event. That's where I'm hoping that people show up, enjoy what we're selling, enjoy the product on the field, and make it one of their highlights of their summer.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it is to get the people into the stadiums, I think it's more interviews like this. And I appreciate you coming down because it's selling the game, right? And you got some interesting personalities on that team.
Yeah, well, the one thing football, like most time, you're wearing a helmet and you kind of are a long way away. What I thought we really lost out on COVID was having people come to practice and actually meeting the guys in person. And I coached my son's 9-on-9 team, and I got to know some of those kids. And like the other day, after the draft, we went and had a bite, and a dad came up to me and his girlfriend's son I coached in his grade 10, and still in touch with these people. And I believe that's how you grow the game, grassroots. You got to get yourself out there, and you got to get your boots on the ground. And I think you got to talk to people, meet people, show them your face, and basically make a connection. If you don't connect, it's just too hard. There's too many options. TV's too good. Video games are out there. I do think gambling will help, but I still think it's the connection, and that's why I go to a game to root for somebody or root against somebody. I know you have a history with Cornish, and if you go to the game because you hate that guy and root against him, as long as you're at the game, you'll have a good time.
It's funny you say that, Dave, because those rivalries, it was hard for me because Hank is one of my closest friends. But I was trying to sell tickets and fill stadiums and get this rivalry going, all the while loving Hank. How can you not, right? And with Cornish, I remember the year he won MVP, and I was the only guy to not vote. Abstaining a unanimous vote, I was the only dissenter. But they wouldn't let John into Ryderville at Grey Cup in Regina because he had to stand in line. And I said, what are you doing? Let the guy in. You know, like I'm a CFL fan. I just like the rivalry stuff, and some people take it a little too far, but Hank said that. Even as a fan, when you think about the game all day, from the moment your feet hit the floor in the morning, that's what we want. I'm not sure if we still, as a coach, you have that. I wonder if the fans have that like we used to have it.
Yeah, but you kind of want to make it an event rather than a chore.
Yeah.
You want to make sure when you're there, you're having fun and you're not, fighting traffic or, lines and these sort of things. So I know there's some challenges that we have. We're going to try to make it better. But I'm the same. If I really dislike someone, I'm going to watch that game and hope they lose. And the vice versa. If I'm really cheering hard for a certain guy, I want to see him do well. And one thing I know our fans, and it hasn't been as good as a head coach for me, but we haven't won as often at McMahon as I want. But the fans have told me, man, we've been enjoying these games. They're so close, and they can go either way. It's kept us there for 60 minutes. had a great time at the game, and then I'm thinking, shoot, we lost. That wasn't that great, but they still enjoyed
the entertainment. I don't get it either.
Back and forth. Yeah, I get it because I don't want to see 45-10. I mean, you'd be happy, but then you'd probably leave in the third quarter. You want to see 24-23, and that's what it seems to be.
On the atmosphere, my dad always said, who's not with us anymore, but it does. You can't beat the smell of the grill smoke, the popcorn, right? Just being there. Right? You can't get that at home. And that's what I think the CFL needs to sell more, because with the 9 rule changes, the day they came out, Dave, we were sitting with one of our sponsors over here in the restaurant, and I said to her, what do you think of the rule changes? And she said, I don't care. I just want to go to the game, drink, and have fun. And I'm like, what an answer, because normally we get so tunnel vision on the rules, a lot of fans won't even notice it to the naked eye. But,
I think Craig and I will agree less rules is better. Less referee flags is better. Just come up with a standard and let's ref to that. Let's call the game to that. Let's have less rules. Like, there's sometimes so many rules. I make a joke in our meetings. It's like I'm having trouble. Like, it's changed from here to there. College football, NFL football, CFL football. I personally would like them to be a little more standard. 1 foot in, 2 feet in, going backwards, and then your heel comes down. Now you're not in. The more standard for me is better, and that's why I'm always fighting for less change necessarily, or less rules. Maybe the odd change, like, you tell me bringing in the hash mark, what's the negative? What's the downside except money, painting on different lines? I don't see any downside, so let's give it a shot. But I don't want to see a drastic change in the rules. I like our game.
It's funny because, of course, I was with Jones for 3 years, and he was so, like, you're still a guy because you're cerebral as a player and as a coach, that you're going to try and find a loophole. That double move on the pass interference, remember Jones was so mad?
That was when we could challenge illegal contact.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you stay up at night thinking of a way that you could...
I've never taken advantage of a rule on purpose, like saying, hey, you're a decoy, so go run into that guy. I've never done that. Everything I do has a purpose, and I try to, honestly, I think about player safety as when I coach as well. I do. I've been there. I want to try to win, but I always try to think I'm going to try to not put my guys or their other guys in a situation where, it's a rule, but sometimes we don't even coach to do certain things. Example is we don't cut the 3 technique on what we call a trap or a wham. Now, if the guy's a bullet and you have to go low, you do, but we don't coach that, even though it is legal, because it could be one of those things where I'm not in the business of taking someone else's livelihood. But I didn't do it on purpose, but I know that's part of the rules, so we're going to do more double moves, okay? So that's just the reality, as if I can get that and they're going to call it more, and if it's a point of emphasis, let's do more of them. If you're going to let them play and grab and hold, no, we're not going to do as much of that. But I think we've done a good job at kind of pulling the standard where we want it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, coaches' jobs depend on wins and losses, and for Jones to be upset about that, I snickered at it. But it was like the Labor Day Classic when the Bombers were going hurry up and all our guys were going down and cramping and injuring in the last minute of the game, and they had to stop the clock. And Lapo was losing his mind. Same thing. Coaches are going to try and find an edge. And last thing, BC Lions 2000s when you were playing. Remember those games, 55,000 in BC players?
Yeah,
I remember walking in there going, if this is the NFL, sign me up. Do you think we could go back to that? I think we can.
I'll take 35. Let's be. But I think there's a big fan base in Vancouver. I know it was there. It's just like same thing is what's cool. What was the going thing? We worked super hard. Bobby Ackles had a great program. We were out in the community, but we got it to be fun and we were winning, and not just winning though. You got to make sure that it's a great atmosphere, and you got to make the ticket prices right. You got lots of things. I'm not a business guy, but you're right. I remember in the playoff game versus Sask, I was like, man, I'm made for this. I'm born for this. This is what I wanted, that I wanted to do. I want 45,000. I want it loud. I want to come in and I wasn't even starting that game. Casey was. I wanted to play so bad, and I hope we get back there. Realistic-wise, I'll take 35 and get it rocking. I like the ownership groups in BC there, and I think Edmonton's coming back. I think Toronto's doing the right things. I love the guys that are coaching over there in pinball. Let's just get back to talking about the game and exciting football and hopefully take it there.
Exactly. Let's get the CBA done, and I didn't even ask you about it. How about that?
Probably best.
Yeah. Dave, thanks for coming down. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rod.
The head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, Dave Dickenson. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of the Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.